Okay, good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube, Table and Able, Shulchan Aruch Yomi. Today we're doing Hilchos Kriyas Sefer Torah, Simon Kof Mem Dalet 144, Shlola Dalig B'Torah Minyan Yelenia V'Dinei Haftarah. You're not supposed to skip in the Torah. We'll talk about what this means, skipping in the Torah. Usually you just keep on reading the Parsha. What does it mean to skip? Aleph, Medalig Menavi, Medalig Torah. These are actually Gemaras, most of these halachas in the Simon. It's a Gemara in Megillah, Gemara in Yuma. You're not supposed to skip by a Navi, right? When you're reading Haftorah, which is from the Nevi'im, you're allowed to skip. Any Medagim Torah. Now, Torah, when you're reading Kriyas Torah, you can't skip. But what? Parsha Zula Parsha Acher. So one Parsha, another Parsha. Hani Milim B'Shtei Yanim. The Chashin Hashem Tizbal Das Hashem. It's only talking about you're skipping from one topic to a different topic. Aval B'Chad and Yana going Acharei Mos V'Ach Be'Esor Shakon Gola Korav Yom Kippurim Medalgin. Nonetheless, in Acharei Mos, right, where you read first about at Mincha and Yom Kippur, you read about the Parsha of the Arayos. And then you skip a little later where it talks about the words of Yom Kippur. So it's talking about one Inyan Yom Kippur, because in Yom Kippur you have to be very careful to do tshuva for Arayos, which are the worst sin. People are it's a problem for a lot of people. Shekoin Gadol Korav Yom Kippur Medalgin. There you could skip from one parsha to another parsha in the Torah. The parsha doesn't mean Parshas Bereshis and Parshas Bereshis and Parshas Noah. It means Parshas like Psuchos and Stumos, where there's spaces between the Torah. You could skip as long as it's one Inyan. If it's not one Inyan, even if it's not going to take a long time to roll the Sefer Torah, it's going to confuse the people. Medal and who shalo yikra al peh? You can't read it al peh. Also, they go shalom minaksav. We know the Gemara Maseches Gittin. Torah Shebachtav. You have to read it from what's written, either a printed chumash or sefer Torah. Afilo teva achad. So a navi, however, when it comes to Nevi'im, medalgan afilo b'shtei yanim. You could jump from one inyan to another inyan. We're not worried that you're going to confuse people. Nonetheless, it has to be pretty close, because if it takes time, a significant amount of time to roll from one parsha to another parsha, so then people are gonna be quiet. You have to be silent for a long time. It's hard to be silent. You always want to talk to your friend. So therefore, tircha de tzibura or machmer or derahani mila benavi echad benavi benavi ein medalgin. Even though we said you can skip from in Nevi'im, that's only in one sefer, from the beginning of Parsha Sefer Shoftim to the end of Sefer Shoftim. But from Shmuel from Shoftim to Shmuel, you can't skip. Over Treyasar, right? 12 small Nevi'im, medalgin benavi benavi. That's considered one book, Treyasar. So nonetheless, in all these cases, you can't go mafrei. You can't go backwards. It always has to be in the right order. Like the Gemara says, certain things you can't do backwards. You can't say the Megillah Esther backwards. You can't do Hallel backwards. It's Kriya Shema backwards, right? The Gemara learns that different sources in the Gemara Maseches Gittin and Daf Chav Aleph. Beis Noagin b'Shabbos sheish bo chasan lomar achar haftaras hashavua shnayim u'shud psukim haftaras sosasis. If there's a chassan in the shul, it's an afraf, right? Even though you read the Haftorah of the week, you finish it off with psukim sos asas, which is not necessarily close to that Haftorah. It's even minavi l'navi. Rosh Chodesh b'Shabbos yom echad achar shem haftirim Haftarah b'Shabbos. Omer pasuk rishon pasuk achron me Haftarahs v'yomer yelo Yehonas on machar Chodesh. If Rosh Chodesh is on Shabbos or Rosh Chodesh is on Sunday, so you read the Haftorah of that week of that Shabbos, but at the end you bring psukim from Yonasan says Machar HaChodesh. Ve'elim chos biyadam. This is a meaning in certain places. The Shulchan Aruch says allow them to continue. V'ayin l'kaman, the Ramah says Simon Tov Chav Hey Sif Beis of Sof Simon Tov Chav Ches Eich Noagin. We paskin, as the Mishnah Berurah explains, that you don't do this. Rather, on Rosh Chodesh, there's a specific Haftorah you read for Rosh Chodesh. And also, if Rosh Chodesh falls on Sunday, you read the entire Haftorah of Makar HaChodesh, because you're not allowed to skip Minavi L'Navi. Gimel, Ein Golden Sefer Torah B'Tzibur B'nei Kvod HaTzibur. You're not supposed to mish, whatever it's called, roll the Sefer Torah, right? You should have the right place when you bring that the Sefer Torah on Shabbos or during the week. You should be at the right place, and you shouldn't roll it in front of, because Tircha L'Tzibura. Sometimes, right, you need two Sifrei Torah, for example, it's Rosh Chodesh, or it's Chol HaMoed, Shabbos, or you need two different Sifrei Torah, right? One's in Sefer Bamidbar, one's in Sefer Vayikra, but you only have one Sefer Torah. Not everyone can afford two Sefer Torahs. Golin v'yidachiv v'asibur. Then we don't care so much about Tirchas Zibur because you have to read the right thing. Dalit ain't korin la'adam echad b'shnei Sefer Torah mishum pagamo. Like we said, there's certain times during the year you bring out two Sefer Torah, right? So you can't give an aliyah to one person on the first Sefer Torah and an aliyah to the same person on the second Sefer Torah. Perush shenira gepogem u'matal dofu b'rishon. People will think, oh, the reason this person is getting aliyah in the first Torah and the second Torah is because his aliyah with the first Torah was invalid because there must be an apsul, it must have been not written correctly, and that's why you're bringing a second one. Obviously, if you have two Sefer Torah, or sometimes you need three Sefer Torah. For example, Rosh Chodesh Teves falls out on Shabbos, right? So you need a Sefer Torah for Chanukah, a Sefer Torah for Rosh Chodesh, and a Sefer Torah for Shabbos. So to have three different people reading the three aliyahs, that's not a pgam, because they're different people. So it shows that there's no psul in the first one or two Sefer Torah. The Mishnah Berurah adds you can even have the one person getting aliyah in the first Sefer Torah and the third Sefer Torah, because it's not subsequent. He's getting in the second Sefer Torah, so it doesn't look like it's a pgam in the first Sefer Torah. That's the conclusion of today's shir. Stay tuned for Ian to lean on. We talk more about this. The difference between a Torah and Navi. Torah is more machmir. Unless it's only Inyan Inyan. You can only, first of all, it has to be not a significant amount of time where it's Tirchas Zibur. But not only that, it has to be that you shouldn't be confuse people. And by Nevi'im, by the Haftarahs, we're not worried about confusing people as long as it's in the same Navi. I'll give you the reason that I believe for the discrepancy in Ian to lean on coming up next.